FBI whistleblowers speak out, and for this, their lives are being destroyed. Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, at 8:30 this morning, you don't want to miss it. We are going to have the chairman of the subcommittee, the weaponization of the federal government, Jim Jordan, on. Yesterday, it was fireworks. In front of his weaponization subcommittee. 3 FBI whistleblowers were there speaking out. All 3 of them. It was absolutely heartbreaking, almost difficult to watch, as they gave personal witness and testimony to the massive corruption, the politicization, and really, in many ways, the authoritarianism that now has become endemic at the FBI. These are 3 brave patriots. All of them have served in the FBI for years with distinction. And yesterday they documented, all 3 of them, that they have personally seen and witnessed, and more importantly, complained within the FBI about the politicization of the FBI, and how the FBI has been on a mission to now deliberately target and persecute conservatives. That the FBI has become a rogue agency. In many ways, a personal secret police force for the Biden regime, for the Democratic Party, and for the left in general. They say that they cannot stand it anymore. These are non-political men. These are men who believe they should serve the country, not any political party, Republican or Democrat. And in particular, they say that the FBI, and this is one of the most shocking revelations from yesterday, have now become so obsessed with investigating the January 6ers that they were explicitly instructed terrorism is not a priority. Numerous other major high-profile crimes are not a priority. That their goal was to go after, quote, domestic violent extremists, unquote, i.e. MAGA, i.e. Trump, i.e. anyone who was there on January 6th. And on top of all of that, to try to justify that MAGA and the January 6ers pose this huge threat to the Republic, the whistleblowers laid out, and it was chilling, how the FBI has to inflate the numbers to try to justify their witch hunt and persecution of conservatives. And so they have now begun to deliberately target pro-life groups. You're a pro-life Christian, a pro-life activist, the FBI is illegally spying and surveilling on you. All of it was documented and shown yesterday, also in a new report released by the subcommittee under Jim Jordan. The Catholic Church has now been infiltrated by FBI agents, looking now to see who is a quote-unquote radical pro-life Catholic, who isn't a radical pro-life Catholic. And they say this is now going in institution after institution after institution. And when these men said, but there's something called separation of church and state, people have a right in America to be pro-abortion, anti-abortion, pro-life, pro-choice. They were told to shut up. And when they continued to complain, their security clearances were revoked. All of them were essentially prevented from working. They could not get another job. And in one case, I'm going to get to this, Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle, they confiscated his home, his personal possessions, his family possessions, his home. The poor man ended up homeless on the street, and he had to beg and borrow warm coats so his children could have a coat in the wintertime. This is how vindictive the FBI is if you dare to speak out. And as Jim Jordan courageously said yesterday, these men all are entitled to federal whistleblower protections. And yet, there is no protections for any of them. Their careers have been destroyed. Their livelihoods have been destroyed. Their entire life now is in absolute tatters. And for what? For exposing the truth? For exposing what's going on at the FBI? How it is now completely corrupt? Completely in the pocket of the Democratic Party? How it is now acting above the law, beyond the law? And now going after, targeting, harassing, persecuting critics of the regime, conservatives, simply based on their political beliefs? It was unbelievable what was on display yesterday. And every step of the way, the Democrats on the committee, to their eternal shame, tried to smear the whistleblowers, tried to speak over any other member of Congress when they were asking them questions, tried to sabotage and block the hearing from taking place. In other words, cover up for the crimes of the FBI. The same FBI that has now been exposed in the Durham report for knowing that the Trump-Russia collusion was a lie. And yet they fed that lie to the American people for the last 4 years. The same FBI that illegally spied on candidate Trump, President Trump, and his inner circle. My friends, we've got a serious problem. And unless we completely dismantle, break up, and end the FBI, these people are going to get worse and worse and worse. At a minimum, the FBI now must be defunded completely. Completely. This is America's Stasi. That's what we now saw yesterday. We've known it before, but now we have faces to names, actual whistleblowers. One, an agent of 20 years, Marcus Allen. Another one, Agent Steve Friend, an agent of 8 years. Another one, Garrett O'Boyle, a member of the U.S. Army, then a police officer, and then a special agent, a patriot who has spent his entire life dedicated to serving our country, the United States, and the Constitution. And all three of them said, they were explicitly told by their superiors at the FBI, you do not serve the Constitution of the United States. I don't care about your oath. You serve the FBI. You serve the needs and interests and dictates of upper management, the bosses at the FBI. And now, these three men, their lives finished. Absolutely finished. Listen now. This is whistleblower Marcus Allen saying that he held a top security clearance since 2001 for over 20 years. And yet, when he complained about the persecution of conservatives, that the FBI was going after people simply for their political views, suddenly he was called a traitor, disloyal to his country, that he held conspiratorial views, and his security clearance was revoked. Eventually, he lost his job. He can no longer earn a living. He's been suspended, and he can't find a job anywhere else. They are preventing him from being able to make money or earn a living. Listen to this poor man. Roll cut 19, Mike.
As a holder of a top secret security clearance since 2001, I've been trusted with the nation's greatest secrets. So why am I here today? Despite my history of unblemished service to the United States, the FBI suspended my security clearance, accusing me of actually being disloyal to my country. This outrageous and insulting accusation is based on unsubstantiated accusations that I hold conspiratorial views regarding the events of January 6, 2021, and that I allegedly sympathize with criminal conduct. I do not.
Listen now to Marcus Allen saying, I asked simple questions about January 6th. And from that moment on, they made a decision to revoke my security, to suspend me, prevent me from being able to get a job elsewhere. They are now smearing me behind the scenes in the media. They have destroyed my 20-plus year career. Roll cut 19A, Mike.
I was not in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, played no part in the events of January 6th, and I condemn all criminal activity that occurred. Instead, it appears that I was retaliated against because I forwarded information to my superiors and others that questioned the official narrative of the events of January 6th. As a result, I was accused of promoting conspiratorial views and unreliable information. Because I did this, the FBI questioned my allegiance to the United States.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And by the way, he challenged it on two grounds. One, and I'm going to get to this very soon, he's like, but we know there were FBI undercover agents. We know that there were confidential informants. In fact, we know that they were the ones urging the crowd to go into the Capitol, i.e. entrapping them. And Christopher Wray, under oath, said that the FBI was not involved. They didn't infiltrate the January 6ers, that there were no undercover agents or confidential informants. That's not true. He lied under oath. And the other one that he's saying was, that's one. He goes, that's just false. And the other one is like, but where was the conspiracy? There's no evidence that this was an organized conspiracy. In fact, all the evidence shows doors were opened. Police officers can be seen waving people in. People went in. Where was the organized conspiracy? Where was the armed insurrection? There's no evidence for this. And, he said, those who trespassed, you arrest them, and I'm not condoning criminal conduct. But you're asking us to enforce a narrative. I don't see the evidence for the narrative. And for this man has been destroyed. Now, they tried to set him up. They tried to set him up at the committee yesterday. Listen now to this. They tried to set him up as someone who cheered on and championed the riot, the breach of the Capitol. They're trying to make it seem like, yeah, you wanted them to storm, didn't you? Huh? We got you. We got you. Here it is. Congresswoman Linda Sanchez, radical Democrat from California. She's trying to set up Marcus Allen for a gotcha question on Twitter, what he said on Twitter. Here it comes. Roll cut 20, Mike.
Do you believe your obligation as a federal agent should supersede your First Amendment right? Yes or no?
Can you please rephrase the question, ma'am?
Do you believe that your obligation as a federal agent should supersede your First Amendment right? Yes or no?
I don't know. Can you please rephrase the question again, ma'am?
Do you believe that you have an obligation to serve as a federal agent regardless of what your personal political beliefs are?
Yes, I have an obligation to serve the United States.
Do you believe that?
So she's trying to set him up. So your allegiance to the FBI, your duty as an FBI agent, should be above your political beliefs. See, she's trying to set him up. And he's like, yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah. So now she thinks she's really set him up. Here it comes. Roll cut 20A. Mike.
You believe that agents should be permitted to express their support for individuals who stormed the Capitol on January 6th? Yes or no? It's a simple question.
No, you're supposed to be apolitical, ma'am, and do your job
So
as
that
an
is a
FBI
no?
person. You're supposed to be apolitical and do your job.
I'm asking for a simple yes or no.
Can you please
Not a
rephrase the
difficult question. Do you believe that FBI agents should be permitted to express support for individuals who stormed the Capitol on January 6th?
You should not be voicing support for criminal conduct. You have to do your job apolitically, ma'am.
So, in other words, no. If they engaged in criminal activity and storming the Capitol, the answer is no. So now she thinks she's got him. So now she's thinking, well, okay, hey, I'm going to drop the hammer now. So everyone's like, what did this guy say on Twitter? Here it comes. Now, you want to see what a bunch, I got to be careful. I don't want to swear. You want to see what a bunch of scumbags these people are? Here it comes. Roll cut 20B, Mike.
Mr. Allen, have you ever used Twitter? Yes or no?
I have utilized Twitter, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is your account at Marcus A970506645?
That is absolutely not my account.
Okay, that's not your account. Well, on December 5th, 2022, an account under the name Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said,
That
quote,
is not my account, ma'am.
You haven't let me finish the question,
Might
sir.
have been a football player.
You haven't let me finish the question. And the time is mine. On December 5th, 2022, an account under the name of Marcus Allen retweeted a tweet that said, quote, Nancy Pelosi staged January 6th, retweet if you agree, end quote. Do you agree with that statement? Yes or no?
That is, I don't, no, ma'am. That's not my account at all.
I'm asking whether you agree.
She tried to set him up. And say, oh, you said that Nancy Pelosi staged the whole thing and that they had every right to go in there. And that's what you were going to say. That's what you said. It's like, I didn't say that. It's not my account. It's a different Marcus Allen. And the idiot continues with the question, well, do you agree? Of course. You're trying to put words in his mouth that he didn't say. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're going to have Congressman Jim Jordan on in about 2 hours at 8:30. It was his subcommittee yesterday, the federal government weaponization subcommittee. Sparks were flying. So the Democrats now tried to frame Marcus Allen, a long-time, 20-plus year federal FBI agent, by the way, an impeccable record, because he has begun to speak out about how the Bureau is deliberately targeting conservatives and that Christopher Wray lied under oath. And so for this, they tried to claim that a different Marcus Allen with a different Twitter account who attacked Nancy Pelosi, that was this Marcus Allen who was testifying yesterday. And he stood there and said, that's not my account. I didn't say this. That's not my account. So they tried to frame him and smear an innocent man. This was just a taste of what this poor man had to endure, not just yesterday, but now for the last months and months of his career, because he has decided to speak out. Listen now to Congressman Matt Gaetz, who asks FBI agent Marcus Allen, were you retaliated against because you knew and other agents know that when Christopher Wray testified before Congress under oath and said that there were no FBI undercover agents, no confidential informants on January 6th in the crowd and those that stormed the building or breached the building, that he lied under oath. And you know that he lied under oath, and you said that he lied under oath. Listen to the answer by Marcus Allen. Roll cut 21A, Mike.
Is it your belief that you were retaliated against because you shared an email that questioned the truthfulness of FBI Director Christopher Wray?
Yes, sir.
And you believed that he wasn't truthful based on testimony he'd given to the United States Senate, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And in that testimony to the Senate, you believe that Christopher Wray indicated that there were no confidential informants and no FBI assets that were present at the Capitol on January 6th that were part of the violent riot. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
This is disgusting. I'm sorry, man, but this is beyond disgusting. The FBI is lying under oath to Congress. They're running a secret operation to infiltrate January 6th. They've got undercover agents and confidential informants urging the crowd to go into the Capitol. And this 20-plus year professional FBI agent who's just a pro, non-political, saying, but we're lying, man. We're lying. We're lying under oath. We're lying to our elected representatives. We're lying to the country. And for this, they go, oh yeah, you want to be a whistleblower now? You want to tell the truth and blow the whistle on us? We're going to revoke your security clearance. So now you won't be able to know anything. You know what? Better yet, you're going to be suspended. No pay for you. Oh, you want to find another job? No. You're still under review. No, buddy. You can't even find another job. Well, how am I going to feed my family? Well, that's your problem. You should have thought of that before you went after the FBI. You don't expose us. We destroy you if you go against us. Listen now. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is your FBI. To all the liberals and the Democrats out there, you proud of this? You're going to lecture, democracy dies in darkness. That's the motto of the Washington Post. Really, huh? Okay. Listen now to this. There's an agent, a testimony of an FBI agent, George Hill. Listen now to this. The Boston field office, our Boston field office, FBI, says, okay, you want us, telling the Washington field office, you want us to investigate people that you say from Massachusetts, our area, that were involved in January 6th. Can you just send us the video so we can see who they are, what they did, and then we'll start going on with our investigation? The Washington field office says, oh, no, we're not going to give you the video. Well, why won't you give us the video? Because in the video are undercover FBI informants. In the video are undercover confidential FBI informants or undercover agents. We're going to expose our undercover people who were there inflaming the crowd that day. Here it is. Roll cut 21B, Mike.
The SSA for CT2 said, happy to do it. Show us where they were inside the Capitol, and we'll look into it. To which WFO said, we can't show you those videos unless you can tell us the exact time and place those individuals were inside the Capitol. To which the SSA responded back, and I was privy to these conversations firsthand, why can't you show us, why can't you just send us, give us access to the 11,000 hours of video that's available? Because there may be UC's undercover officers or CHS's confidential human sources on those videos whose identity we need to protect. Unbelievable.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, we want you to get certain people. Well, can you just give us the video so we can see the evidence that they're doing something wrong? Shut up. We tell you to go after somebody, you go after somebody. Don't question us. Don't ask. Evidence, we don't do evidence here. Again, it's very simple. It's like Trump. No, shut up. He colluded with Russia. But where's the evidence? Shut up, investigate, spy, surveil, tell the media, feed the media these talking points. He's an agent of Russia. Just shut up and do your job. Now, that's it. Shut up, go after these people, don't ask for evidence. Because if we give you evidence, it's going to show we had infiltrated January 6th. We had FBI people on the inside urging the crowd to go into the Capitol. We were part of the entire breach of the Capitol. We entrapped them. We urged them. We encouraged them. We were involved in it. As they lied to us. No. Under oath. The FBI director. No. The FBI? Us? No. We would never do such a thing. How dare you even ask us? This is beyond disgusting. I'm telling you, this is KGB stuff. This is the Gestapo. I don't care. Take your pick. This is the stuff they do in communist China. Ray needs to be impeached. I'm completely with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ray needs to be impeached. Merrick Garland, he knows about all this. He has to be impeached. Biden has to be impeached. Mayorkas has to be impeached. Enough is enough. The FBI needs to be completely and utterly dismantled, defunded, and broken up. And I don't want to hear Sean Hannity, that clown, go on about, oh, there's so many good people in the FBI. Shut up. Shut up. Break this thing up into 1,000 pieces. This is inexcusable, what's going on. Now, very quickly. How much time left, Mike? Okay. Listen now. Garrett O'Boyle. Oh, man, did my heart break for this agent. Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle. They have destroyed this man. Listen to him yesterday. FBI whistleblower. He's a patriot, served in the military, police officer, highly decorated. Roll cut 49. Mike.
During my 4 years as a special agent, I received the highest annual review an employee can receive. I volunteered for, tried out for, and was selected for an FBI SWAT team. I also volunteered for, tried out for, and was selected for a new unit the FBI created. I also received an award for my work on an anti-abortion extremism case. I've been smeared as a malcontent and subpar FBI employee. This smear stands in stark contrast to my life in public service. This smear campaign, disgusting as it is unsurprising. Despite our oath to uphold the Constitution, too many in the FBI aren't willing to sacrifice for the hard right over the easy wrong. They see what becomes of whistleblowers, how the FBI destroys their careers, suspends them under false pretenses, takes their security clearances and pay with no true options for real recourse or remedy. This is by design. It creates an Orwellian atmosphere that silences opposition and discussion. We know what is right to do, yet we too often refuse to do what is right because of the difficulty and suffering it incurs.
What's he describing? Is that America or is that East Germany? He's describing an American Stasi. You're not going to believe what the FBI did to this man. Next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Listen now to Garrett O'Boyle. So he is a man who served in the Army. He served as a police officer. He was a special agent at the FBI. No blemish on his record. Absolutely. I don't want to go on about all the awards he's gotten, the high reviews, the medals. This man, stellar reputation. Until he made the fatal mistake. He saw that the FBI was deliberately targeting, persecuting, and harassing and trying to intimidate conservatives. And he said the Bureau should not be going after political opponents. The Bureau must be above politics. And instead, they are acting as the enforcement arm of the Biden regime and the Democratic Party. And so he started to say, why are we targeting people simply because they're pro-life? Why are we infiltrating the Catholic Church? Why are we going after people simply because they support Donald Trump? We're going after some people who were just there on January 6th, but they never went into the Capitol. They have a right to protest. You have the right to either support abortion or oppose abortion or support Biden or oppose Biden. This is what it is to live in a free country. And for this, I want you to listen now to what this man is enduring. Roll cut 50, Mike.
I couldn't knowingly continue on this path silently without speaking out against the weaponization I witnessed, even if it meant losing my job, my career, my livelihood, my family's home, and now my anonymity. It's up to members of this committee, current and former FBI employees, and indeed all Americans, to ensure that the weaponization of our own government against the people comes to an end, no matter the personal cost.
Well, what was that cost? They lied to him. They told him they were going to transfer him to another position, another job, another assignment in another part of the country. So they said, sell your home. So, of course, he figures, okay, he sells his home. Put all your clothes, all your furniture, everything in storage. FBI-controlled storage facility. They then take him, his wife, and his children. They fly him to that other part of the country. And then the next day, once he's there, they go, we've revoked your security clearance. You've now been suspended. He's like, what? That's right. Suspended. You're not getting paid. Nor can you go for another job elsewhere because it's all pending review. So we're not going to allow you get a different line of work or find a way to feed your family. He's like, but I don't have a home. You've confiscated all my stuff. I don't have anything. And they go, that's your problem. You should have thought of that before you became a quote-unquote whistleblower. And so this man who served our country for the crime of telling the truth had to go on the street and beg to be fed. Beg for food for him and his family. It was cold. The kids did not have a warm coat. It was in the storage facility. The FBI wouldn't even let them have access to their own jackets, their own coats. They had to beg people to lend them warm coats so his children could not freeze to death. These are the kinds of SOBs that are now running and part of the FBI. This is the FBI that the liberals and the Democrats now defend. This is now their FBI. Listen now to Garrett O'Boyle. Roll cut 51, Mike.
The safeguards currently in place at the FBI are clearly inadequate and must be reworked to protect whistleblowers and others who are inappropriately targeted. The FBI can extract whatever they want from me. I'm willing to bear that burden. I've sworn to defend this country from enemies, both foreign and domestic, even if that means sacrificing my life. I've lived that oath out since first enlisting in the Army, consistently saying, here am I, send me.
Now he almost chokes up at the price he, his wife, and his children have had to pay. I never thought I'd have to be homeless. I never thought I couldn't put a jacket over my children or food in their stomach because the FBI set me up, sent me to another part of the country, had me sell my home, hand over all of my possessions, and then confiscated my possessions, revoked my security clearance, only to retaliate against me because I called them out for targeting and persecuting conservatives. Listen now to Garrett O'Boyle. Roll cut 52, Mike.
My oath, however, did not include sacrificing the hopes, dreams, and livelihood of my family. My strong, beautiful, and courageous wife, and our 4 sweet and beautiful daughters who have endured this process along with me. In weaponized fashion, the FBI allowed me to accept orders to a new position halfway across the country. They allowed us to sell my family's home. They ordered me to report to the new unit when our youngest daughter was 2 weeks old. Then, on my first day on the new assignment, they suspended me, rendering my family homeless. They refused to release our goods, including our clothes, for weeks. All I wanted to do was serve my country by stopping bad guys and protecting the innocent. To my chagrin, bad guys have begun running parts of the government, making it difficult to continue to serve this nation and protect the innocent. But I, for one, will never stop trying, and I'll never forget my oath.
Bad guys have begun running parts of our government. You better believe it. You better believe it. Although I have to disagree with him on one thing. I don't think it's parts of our government. I think it's now most of our government. I'm sorry to say that. I think it's the FBI. It's the CIA. It's the NSA. It's the IRS. I could go on and on. It's the Oval Office. It's the White House. It's most of Congress. This man deserves this? Again, what did he do? Did he take money from communist China? Did he take bribes from Romania or Ukraine? And then have us change our policy positions to benefit the interests of foreign nationals or foreign countries or foreign entities? Did he sell our country down the river? Was he involved in influence peddling to enrich himself and his family? No. He didn't do what the Bidens did. He didn't do what Hillary did, and the Clintons, and the Obamas, and the Mitch McConnells, and the Mitt Romneys. He didn't do what they did. He simply wanted to serve his country and be an FBI agent and say you don't go after people for their political views. I don't care if it's liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican. You don't do that. The Constitution is crystal clear. And I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And for upholding his oath to the Constitution, they have now destroyed this man's career, his livelihood, his life, everything. Let me play one more cut. And this is maybe the most depressing cut of all. North Dakota Congresswoman Kelly Armstrong asks FBI Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle. Oh, forgive me, my bad. Congressman, forgive me, my bad. Congressman Kelly Armstrong, my bad. Asks FBI Special Agent Garrett O'Boyle, what would be your advice to someone now? Let's say in the FBI, a friend of yours, colleague, whatever. You have information that the FBI has. You know the FBI is engaging in crimes, abuses of power, and they're covering it up. Would you advise them to speak out? Would you advise them to be a whistleblower? Would you advise them to tell the truth? Listen now to O'Boyle's response to the congressman. Roll cut 52B. Mike.
If one of your really good friends, your former colleagues, came to you and said, I have this thing that is being covered up, and I think the American people need to know about it, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them first to pray about it, long and hard. And I would tell them I could take it to Congress for them, or I could put them in touch with Congress, but I would advise them not to do it.
So you would legitimately try to protect one of your colleagues from doing what you have done?
Absolutely.
And how do you think that solves being able to shine light on corruption, weaponization, any kind of misconduct that exists with the American people?
It doesn't solve it. But the FBI will crush you. This government will crush you and your family if you try to expose the truth about things that they are doing that are wrong. And we are all examples of that.
I wish I could disagree with him. I can't. They will crush you. They will destroy you and your family, and they won't blink an eye. And it doesn't matter how many years you served in Iraq or Afghanistan or as a police officer or as an FBI special agent and how many times you put your life on the line and the sacrifices you made. You go against the institutional interests and power of the FBI, you are done. They will squash you like a bug. Now, I want to ask you, in all honesty, okay, to all, especially the liberals out there, the Democrats out there, and there are many of you who listen to this show, is this the United States or is this the Soviet Union? Are we talking about the FBI or are we talking about the KGB? Are we talking about the FBI? Are we talking about the Gestapo? Are we talking about the FBI? Are we talking about the Stasi in East Germany? This is, to me, what is beyond sickening. This is the monster. And you think you're all grinning and smug in your cars because you think you're untouchable. it's going to turn on you. These animals, these savages, these thugs, and that's what they are now. They're jackbooted thugs. These thugs, believe me, they will turn on you. What are you going to do then? We no longer have a republic. If nobody else doesn't have the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. We have an out-of-control authoritarian regime in Washington, D.C. And now there is no limit or no restraint on their power. And that's what these brave whistleblowers yesterday revealed crystal clear. Crystal clear. The deep state must be dismantled. Root and branch. Or else we don't have a democracy, we don't have a republic, frankly, we don't have a country. Agree, disagree. A, is Marjorie Taylor Greene correct? Should Christopher Wray be impeached? I say yes. B, should the FBI be defunded? I say yes. And finally, should the FBI be broken up and rebuilt? Or better yet, just broken up? Is it time now to end the FBI? I say yes. What say you? 617-266-6868 is the number. Lynette in Natick. Thanks for holding, Lynette, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Lynette.
I just wandered out. Hi, Jeff. You there? I just wandered out into the kitchen. Sorry about that. I'm back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just happy the FBI is not targeting me.
Happy they're not targeting you either, because you're our fearless leader up in this part of the woods. But anyway, I just wanted to say, I couldn't believe my lying eyes yesterday when I saw that on television. And I really think that Merrick Garland and Mr. Wray, I think that they should both be impeached first. Because with Merrick Garland sitting there, we can't get anywhere with anything else. He's just going to, deny. And I really think at this point, it may be me, but I'm starting to feel as though this just isn't censorship anymore. I feel like I'm in an occupied country. I really do. I hate to say it. This is quite getting dangerous. The Democrats, the far left portion of them, they were very methodical in what they did. They really encroached. They started with the media. They went on. They gave that ugly little toad, Soros. He took care of our legal system. And then they got a hold of the corporations. And the teachers' union is a whole other story. And so they encroach on every segment of our society. And all of a sudden, we look around and they're in charge. How did they get in charge? Encroachment is a very, very effective weapon. And I just want to know, how can Merrick Garland justify ordering the IRS to drop the team investigating Hunter Biden's taxes, okay? And then go after these three, he went after more than three of the FBI agents. They could only get three to be whistleblowers, and you can see why the rest were afraid to do it. And how can, and that was obviously a special request, dropping that IRS team, that was, investigating Hunter Biden's taxes. And so, this is like, and I'm sure that was a direct request from President Joey,
Oh, you're dead on. No, look, Lynette, this is, and thank you very, very much for that call. The reason why Garland and Wray and Mayorkas and you can run down the whole list. The reason why they can get away with this is because of the spineless, yellow-livered Republicans in Congress. I mean, I'm not blaming them. They're not the ones committing these atrocities. It's the Democrats. But they have the power of the purse. You know, the Republicans are no longer the minority. I mean, they are in the Senate, but in the House, they're the majority. Well, the majority controls the purse. They control two things. They can start impeaching, and they can defund. So, start impeaching. Now, again, I know we don't have the votes in the Senate. I keep hearing that over and over again. Who cares? Impeachment will force the country to concentrate and focus on the issue. It's nothing cynical about it. It's the truth needs to be exposed. No one is following these committee hearings. You are, but you're an elite. I'm just being honest. Everybody who listens to this show is an elite. You're privy to information. You care about current events in a way that most people don't. You're much better informed, better educated, smarter than most Americans. I'm just being frank. But if the American people are like, what are they doing with it? What? This is what the FBI is doing. What? They're doing what to these whistleblowers? What? Well, that would change everything. So impeach. What are you so afraid of? And number two, you defund. Take away their money. Just defund them. And then you'll see a very different story. So they have to act as a check and balance. But if all they do is yap, 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 well, then they're going to keep getting away with it. So that's the problem. And look, really, it's at a deeper level. We are dealing, the FBI, you know what the FBI was exposed as yesterday, both in the Durham report, but especially yesterday. The FBI is a mafia. It's a political, legal mafia. By the way, that's what the Russians would say about the KGB. That's what the East Germans would say about the Stasi. Here, ask the Venezuelans about the notorious Venezuelan secret police. They go, it's just basically being run by a mafia. It's a mafia state. Well, that's what's up. We do what we want when we want to do it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And snitches get stitches. That's you. Hold on, you're going to snitch? It's like the code of the mafia. Well, then we're going to bury you, man. So that's what we're witnessing, the creation of a thug mafia state. So stand up, expose them, and defund them. Mike in Chicago. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for taking my call. There's a TV show called The Man in the High Castle. You've got to watch that. I don't know if you've watched it. I've watched about 4 episodes. It makes me just angry. It's where the Germans take over the East Coast and the Japanese take over the West Coast. And if that's not what's happening in our country today, Jeff, I don't know what is. I couldn't watch it. It made me too angry. When people walked out on the street that were against them, they took them in the alley and shot them, just like what they did to this poor man and his family. I was born in England. I came here when I was 7 years old. I have never seen anything so disgusting in my life. I love this country more than anything. You know, I'm not an English American. I'm an American, and that's how I feel. And it makes me cry every time. I'm 80 years old in a couple of weeks. It makes me cry because I can't stand anymore that no one sticks up for us. We're afraid to walk out of the house. I mean, it's so sad. Jeff, thanks for you. I love you in a non-sexual way.
Thank you, Mike.
I think you guys, if it weren't for you, we'd have no hope at all. You know, I say this to Donald Trump, I say it to everyone. One of my favorite sayings is don't be afraid to be a minority of one, because majorities are often wrong, and they are sure proving it to me. And thank the lady who answers the phone. She put me on early because I have to leave to go to the dentist. But that's nothing compared to the drilling that these people are putting us through.
Mike, we're going to win. We're going to win, Mike. When you have the truth and we have the truth, you have the strongest weapon in the world. And all I'm asking people to do is just wield it. It is like the sword of Damocles. It will destroy everything. All our enemies will be slain. We just need to continue to speak the truth and be unafraid. And I'll have Jordan on, Congressman Jordan, in about an hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to ask him, should we not impeach Christopher Wray? 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, Hillary's emails, Wiener's laptop, the Epstein tapes, Hunter's hard drive. What exactly has the FBI been doing? Well, from the whistleblowers, we now know targeting, persecuting, and going after conservatives. That's pretty obvious. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. This is from 617. Jeff, I emailed you a story. Okay, I'll look at it later. A progressive pro-life mom. She's a liberal on almost every issue except she is pro-life. Recently got a visit at her home from multiple FBI agents. Why? They are targeting her as a domestic terrorist because she is pro-life. Well, that's what the whistleblowers are saying. Just like they were going after the parents for daring to go to school boards and speaking out against adult pornography, gay porn being given to kids in school, or critical race theory being taught. And they were put on a terrorist list. I mean, it's unbelievable what the FBI has now turned into. By the way, many of you are now texting the Kuhner man saying, Jeff, don't be so sure the FBI is not targeting you. You may not know it, but they're definitely watching and listening. I believe that. I do believe that. I really do. David in Brookline. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
David, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yes, two things. One is apropos of today's topic. I just listened to some of the testimony, and I was I reached the age when I'm yelling at televisions and radios and just yelling at the representatives and the way they dealt with this. It's worse than despicable. And, you know, why are we surprised? Why are we surprised by a government which spies on the opposition, plants, you know, the Steele dossier, puts a perfectly respectable president through two fake impeachments? I mean, it's worse than bizarre. The other thing I want to say quickly, Jeff, is the other day you had a J6, well, I call him victim, someone who was arrested for January 6th. There is a website called AmericanGulag.org. AmericanGulag.org, and it deals a lot. They deal with the J6 prisoners. There is fundraising and so forth. There are people who are trying to help these people. I mean, we're in a country where these people were arrested for most of them for nothing. This is 2.5 years, no trial, tortured, put in solitary confinement, which is just torture in itself. I mean, you can tell I've just had it.
Oh, David, no, you're dead on. You're absolutely dead on. Look, it is an American gulag, and her name was Kirsten, and I want to be transparent with everybody. The reason why Jim Jordan's been coming on the last 2 weeks, and now this week as well, is to promote a big event with Rick Green and Jeff Deal and Jim Lyons on Saturday. He'll be in Massachusetts. I know of two events, Cape Cod and one at Jim Lyons' barn in Andover. So the first question will be about why he's going to be in Massachusetts tomorrow. So why will he be here tomorrow? Because that was the reason why he agreed to come on. Because he wants a Freedom Caucus style for Massachusetts. What he did nationally, he wants to do here in Massachusetts and in other states. The second question I'm going to ask him is about Kirsten and the January 6ers and how he needs to hold hearings documenting these are political prisoners who are now suffering human rights abuses. And she's also on that website, AmericanGulag.org. Kirsten is. And I'm going to press Congressman Jordan. I mean, I can't force him to do anything, but I will press him saying, you got to hold hearings. You have to, people around the country and around the world need to know what is happening here in the United States of America. And to me, the part that bothered me the most when she talked about how her mistreatment, the mistreatment of the January 6ers, they would rather go to Gitmo. I mean, really, they were like, look, to a person, they go, look, we would prefer treat us like Al-Qaeda, treat us like ISIS, treat us like could you please treat us like a foreign Islamic terrorist? Because we'd be better treated in Gitmo than the way we're being treated here. Now that to me is so disgusting, so revolting, so unacceptable. I don't know how any red-blooded American who loves this country, loves liberty, loves the Constitution could come up, could live with this. This cannot go on. We're not going to put up with this anymore. So those are going to be my first two questions. And then, of course, I have to talk about FBI because yesterday was so explosive. And, well, hopefully I'll get at least those three in. So, David, look, you're completely right. And what we're watching now really is the birth of a police state. And the question the Republicans have to ask themselves is when the history books are written, and if this republic does fall, and I pray to God it doesn't, where were you? Where were you? Where were the Republicans? Did you speak out? You run committee after committee. You run the House of Representatives. Yet, what did you do? What did you do? Yes, it's important to get information. Yes, those whistleblowers, their testimony yesterday was invaluable. No question. Okay, but what are you going to act on now? There's a time for action. What are you going to do? That remains to be seen. David, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, so listen now to this. So these poor whistleblowers, careers destroyed, security clearances revoked. It's clearly retaliation. They want to crush them. And they've been suspended, so they can't make any money. They're not collecting a paycheck. But they can't leave the FBI to get a job elsewhere because everything is under pending review. And this is all deliberate. It's to starve these poor men and their families. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that Democratic hack, starts to go after one of the whistleblowers, Steve Friend, and says, whoa. You're writing a book. Are you just saying this to promote your book? Are you just saying this to make money? Roll cut 44B. Mike.
Mr. Friend, your motivations appear to be today crystal clear. For months, you've pressured Republicans to call you to a hearing. In fact, in December, you said Chairman Jordan and Republicans took your complaint of alleged FBI wrongdoing and, quote, used it for campaign rocket fuel and 4-minute appearances on Fox News. And I'll admit you're right. Republicans are using you. But it goes both ways. You're engaging in the self-promotion of your new book that's about to be released. And what great timing to be on TV and in Congress right before your book tour starts.
Now, notice, they're not dealing with the substance of the allegations. See, it's always with them what they call ad hominem. Always personal attacks. Go after their motives, smear them, vilify them, libel them, call them names, go on. It's their motives. Is this? How about what they're actually saying about the FBI? How about everything they've said? So what? They haven't been targeting pro-lifers? No. They haven't infiltrated the Catholic churches? No. They haven't been persecuting and hounding the January 6ers? No. So what? They're not being put in solitary confinement? There haven't been beatings? They're not being sent to prison 500, 600, 700 miles away from their families? They're not being given sentences much harsher than, say, I don't know, someone who would hold up a store with a gun? Other criminals? Much more serious crimes? No, that's not that's not happening. None of this is happening. They didn't spy on Trump, his campaign, his presidency. They didn't push that bogus Christopher Steele dossier and try to frame the president as an agent of Russia. None of this is happening. No, none of this is happening, according to her. Now, as to this poor guy selling a book, I hope to God he's selling a book. How else is he going to feed his family? They're going after Kash Patel as well, former advisor to Trump, because his foundation is giving some of these whistleblowers money to put food on the table. The guy's like, I feel sorry for... They're hungry, man. There's no money. There's no income. They're begging for food. They can't even put a roof over their head. Put food on the table. Get warm coats in the winter. Yes, I'm giving them money from the foundation. I feel sorry for them. And they're like, they're compromised. They're taking money from Kash Patel. Hey, they'll take money from anybody. You've destroyed their livelihood, and you're preventing them from getting another job. And by the way, they don't qualify for welfare. So outside of the generosity of their family, they're going to rely upon the generosity of strangers. Doesn't anybody see what's wrong with this? And instead, it's like, they're taking money from Kash Patel. Who cares? If it comes from Kash Patel or Jeff Kuhner or a GoFundMe page or whatever, who cares? What, you want them to starve to death? Their children to starve to death or freeze to death in the cold? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And nothing to do with the merits and the substance of the allegations. So I want to ask you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. These FBI whistleblowers, are they A, patriots who are telling the truth, or B, as the Democrats and the liberal media are trying to portray them, opportunists? Are they simply saying this to get money, or to hawk a book, or to get rich? You know what you know where I stand? Clearly, these are patriots who have sacrificed and lost everything. But that's me. You can vote on our webpage, WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. And you can also vote, if you prefer, via Twitter. Our handle there, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner, at the Kuhner Report, all of it, one word. I'm sorry, what, Mike? Yes, I played Cut 44B. That's what set up the poll question. In fact, let me play Cut 44B again. Let's play it a second time. Roll Cut 44B. Mike.
Mr. Friend, your motivations appear to be, today, crystal clear. For months, you pressured Republicans to call you to a hearing. In fact, in December, you said Chairman Jordan and Republicans took your complaint of alleged FBI wrongdoing and, quote, used it for campaign rocket fuel and 4-minute appearances on Fox News. And I'll admit, you're right. Republicans are using you. But it goes both ways. You're engaging in the self-promotion of your new book that's about to be released. And what great timing to be on TV and in Congress right before your book tour starts.
I mean, she's disgusting. She's a smear merchant. That's all this woman does. Libel, slander, and smear. That's all this woman is good for. 617-266-6868 is the number. Kenny in Florida. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Kenny.
You're doing a great job. On the questions you're asking, absolutely, these guys are patriots. And I liked what the one whistleblower said about he wouldn't recommend him coming forward because they'll crush you. I mean, I don't like it because it's true. It's because it does let everybody know they got to fix the problem, So also on, the impeachments, obviously they need to do that. And, you left one guy out, Adam Schiff. I think they got enough evidence on him saying that he had evidence and none of this. I saw one time he said maybe some crap like that, but too many times he said he had the evidence. So that's falsifying information as far as I'm concerned. That was relevant, but I just want to say, I know you're going to talk to Jim Jordan. He came on last week. He said that in order to start impeachment, that he had to let the Republican committee vote to see. I guess I forget exactly what the name is, but it's a Republican committee, the conference or the
Republican conference. His line is, and this is the line that all Republicans are using: we can't impeach until McCarthy gives the green light, and 2, we have, quote, unanimity in the Republican conference. So the line is we can't do anything, basically, until McCarthy says yes, and then pretty much every Republican in the Congress has to agree.
So what I think...
Kenny, this could take forever. This could be 2040 by the time they decide to impeach.
I agree with you. I agree. What I think, hopefully, what he's trying to do is he wanted Comer's committee to come forward showing that outrageous information that he had. And then also the FBI whistleblowers. I think they wanted that. I think everybody is just completely, totally enraged that things got to change. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wanted these two committees to go first, but you got more than enough. And didn't you say that when you start an impeachment, that it actually allows you to get more evidence?
That's right. You can issue all kinds of subpoenas. You get a lot more legal and investigative power once you start. You have impeachment managers. You set up an impeachment committee. So if you want to get even more evidence, it gives you more power to do that.
That's mind-boggling. Kevin McCarthy. What more do you need? The evidence we can't get is because you're not actually doing the impeachment, so you got enough, go ahead and do it. But I just want to say, obviously you got to have some solutions. I'm not going to offer any other than the only thing I want to say, I mentioned it before, was I got this idea about it. This is called a hello,
Kenny. You know what? I want to ask you a question, Kenny. So before you give us your solution, I'm going to ask you a question. I want to hear your solution, and I want to ask everybody, what do we do with the FBI? Okay, massive corruption, abuse of power exposed yesterday at the Weaponization Subcommittee, chaired by Congressman Jim Jordan. We're going to have the congressman on in 40 minutes at about 8:30. Let's go right back to Kenny in Florida. Kenny, the question I want to ask you, why do you think the Republicans are so afraid to begin articles of impeachment? Marjorie Taylor Greene, God bless her, is the only one. She introduced articles of impeachment yesterday against Merrick Garland, against Christopher Wray, before that, against Joe Biden and against Alejandro Mayorkas, the Homeland Security Secretary. But it seems to me that the only one that has any spine, any steel when it comes to impeaching people, it's MTG. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Kenny, what are the Republicans so afraid of?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to find out real soon. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I'm going to be putting pressure on my House rep and some of the other folks. But they don't have anything to worry about. I mean, how much time does it waste? I mean, if you only had, one person to go after, I guess you'd go after Biden. They got to reform them. And I want to say real quick I had heard that in 1978, I guess they tried reforming the FBI and maybe the CIA, I guess. And apparently they gave them some carve outs where, okay, we're not going to hold you accountable for this, and this. And it is a tough business when you have to trust people and see who you can trust. Okay. But let's count on something happening with the impeachment. But on reforming, you asked me about reforming the FBI. I would say first go back and look at what were they trying to do back in 78? Did any laws get broken then? It seems like a bunch of laws were already broken. They were just covered up. So that would be a starting point. But, I almost feel like you have to have like a mirror system. And you go ahead and declare, hey, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican when you apply at the FBI. And you pair these guys up where you have a Democrat and a Republican working together, and they basically watch everything the other one's doing. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but it almost seems like that's what it's come down to. And so that's one idea. But I think you could have what I call an evidence vault and put it in every state. Don't even give it to the FBI first. That laptop that he turned in on Hunter, if that could have gone in a Delaware vault, and what I mean by vault is you have multiple witnesses see it get turned in. And yeah, it would be some kind of actual vault that can't be opened by one or two people. But, hard evidence. See, the laptop was hard evidence. That should never have been able to be covered up. Hillary's emails. When Jim Jordan, I heard him interviewed, and he said, we tried to work something out with her lawyers that we would sit there and sift through and kind of figure out what's personal and what's not personal. The next day, they destroyed everything. So you can't really, trust people, when you do catch them to do the right thing. You got to have the evidence. That was hard evidence.
I agree. No, Kenny, I agree. Kenny, you're making excellent points. You really are. Kenny, as always, thank you so much for that call. Look, I think at a minimum, you have to restore balance to the FBI. You can't have an agency overrun with Democrats. I mean, this is the top most powerful federal law enforcement agency in the United States. And if it's serving one political party and its job is to destroy the other political party, we don't have a country. We don't have a republic. This cannot, as I said before, America cannot survive. How can you survive this? Now, just one other quick point, because I want to go to the phone lines. Remember Chuck Schumer. When Trump fired Comey, and now we know if Trump made any mistake, he should have fired him even sooner, because now we know just how deep involved James Comey was in the frame-up of Donald Trump. He knew Russia collusion was a complete lie, and he still deliberately peddled and parroted and pushed it to the media, to the rest of the FBI. He was the most corrupt FBI director we have ever had. And that's saying something. So, when he fires Comey, if you remember, Schumer says, and caught on tape, you don't play with those guys at the FBI. He goes, the reason why is they'll get you 6 ways from Sunday. And what he meant was they will crush you. They will destroy you. They will frame you. They will do whatever they have to do. In other words, hey, I may be a senator. Hell, I may be even the majority leader in the Senate, but I'm nothing compared to them. As an institution, as an organization, they can crush me. They can crush any senator. They could even crush a president. Now, his own words to me are so damning. What he's saying is, in essence, we don't live in a democratic republic. That's what he's saying. Go back to the old Soviet Union, right? Hey, look, man, you don't mess with the KGB. But hold on, but aren't we a workers' paradise? Yeah, the hell with the workers. The KGB, they're on the show. It's all KGB. What he's describing is a deep state dictatorship, a shadow government. So, no. You think there are elected representatives. No. They are in fear of the FBI, the CIA, and the deep state. Our founding fathers are rolling in their graves. Here, let me just play the cut again. Think of Schumer. They can get you 6 ways from Sunday. In other words, you can't even fire the director for blatant abuse of power and corruption? He's supposed to serve at the leisure of the president, and we can't get rid of the guy? And he says, you mess with them, they will destroy you. And that's pretty much what they did to Trump's presidency. Now, think of what Schumer is saying, and I want you to listen again to what that poor special agent, Garrett O'Boyle, said, how they destroyed his entire life. Roll cut 52B, Mike.
If one of your really good friends, your former colleagues, came to you and said, I have this thing that is being covered up, and I think the American people need to know about it, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them first to pray about it, long and hard. And I would tell them I could take it to Congress for them, or I could put them in touch with Congress, but I would advise them not to do it.
So you would legitimately try to protect one of your colleagues from doing what you have done?
Absolutely.
And how do you think that solves being able to shine light on corruption, weaponization, any kind of misconduct that exists with the American people?
It doesn't solve it. But the FBI will crush you. This government will crush you and your family if you try to expose the truth about things that they are doing that are wrong. And we are all examples of that.
And you know who's the biggest example? Donald J. Trump. He tried to expose the deep state. Never mind drain it, just expose it. Crush you. Crush you, destroy you, destroy you, destroy your family. Isn't that what they've done to Trump? Isn't that what they're trying to do to him right now? 617. And remember, he's not some special agent in the FBI. President of the United States. Defund them and break them up. They've become a threat to our very freedom and a threat to our very republic. Agree, disagree? Anne-Marie in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Anne-Marie, and welcome.
Hi, Cowie.
I'm just kidding. No, go ahead, Anne-Marie. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Run off to work all day. I just want to let you know, my husband and I, after work last night, we watched Newsmax. We do not watch Fox any news. We've left since Tucker. I left way before that because I don't trust them anymore. But I just want to let it point known, these whistleblowers, after watching them and listening to them, is there any way they're going to set up a GoFundMe for these guys? They're losing everything. And it's just pathetic what's going on in this country. And we're just shocked. My husband and I, we're not shocked. My husband says they're all corrupt, from the top to, he's disgusted. And we just want to know, can they set up a GoFundMe for these poor guys?
Well, I'm going to look into that, Anne-Marie. Look, the problem is now their security clearance has been revoked. They've been suspended. They're under investigation. Now, they're going to try to frame them. Already, they're questioning. They're saying they're traitors. This is treason. Maybe now they're even trying to say they're domestic terrorists themselves. So I don't know if you can go set up a GoFundMe for someone who's considered a threat to the homeland and a domestic terrorist. You see how the FBI plays that dirty? So I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it. I want to do something for these poor guys because they really deserve it. All I can just say is I back Kash Patel. If his foundation wants to give their families a little bit of money to help them survive and make pay their bills and feed their families, why not? Why not? I would love to do something for these men. I really would. So I'll look into it and we'll see what happens. Okay, 8 o'clock. You know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Kirsten.
I am a January 6th defendant, and I am facing sentencing in 2 weeks. And I just think that the American people need to know the truth. A lot of this has been withheld from the public, and nobody knows what's happening behind the scenes in these courtrooms, or the fact that we're being tortured in jail. We're getting years of sentencing for walking into a building we were welcomed into. And it's just a scary time to be alive. I have 4 misdemeanors, 2 disorderly conducts, 1 entering and remaining in a restricted building, and demonstrating, parading, and picketing. And it holds a max of 3.5 years in prison. It's just crazy that all these lies have been spewed. And, for over a year and a half, I've already been punished. I've been on federal probation. I'm drug tested, court-ordered counseling. I'm red flagged at the airlines, and my travel is restricted. So to me, that's already a punishment. And I've been going through that for a year and a half, and I haven't even been to sentencing yet. These prosecutors, it's even worse than the movies. These people are savages. They attack you in every way possible. They paint you out to be a monster. You would have thought that I committed murder during my trial. And the sad thing is my court-appointed attorneys, they even messed up on my jury selection. That's how corrupt all of this is. The public thinks that I'm this horrible domestic terrorist, and it's ruined my life.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. One of the most harrowing calls. You know me, I like to take calls. And by the way, just that you know, in the business, you're always told repeatedly, never keep a caller on more than 30 seconds. And I've violated that rule from the beginning, and I will continue to violate it because I don't believe it. I think a really good call, if you want to go 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I don't care. I've never had a call that went for 2 segments. And that was the call with Kirsten this week. One of the most chilling, harrowing, eye-opening calls I've ever had as a host of the Kuhner Report. So, in fact, I will be asking about her specifically when I interview Jim Jordan in, at 8:30. So, 26 minutes from now. Okay, my friends, I love MyPillow. As you know, the MyPillow 2.0 is finally out, has been now for about 6, 7, 8 weeks. I've been sleeping on it. You're going to get the best, most luxurious, comfortable night's sleep of your life. The MyPillow 2.0 is incredible. Perfectly designed for coolness, engineered for comfort. It's available in 4 levels. Let's show our support for Mike Lindell and his team. They have an incredible deal right now. You buy one MyPillow 2.0, you get the other one absolutely free. So call 1-800-972-2316, 1-800-972-2316, or go to mypillow.com, and don't forget to use the code WRKO. Okay, speaking of Congressman Jordan, this is him yesterday detailing all of the abuses of power that the FBI and its leadership have committed against these brave FBI whistleblowers. Roll cut 59, Mike.
Man, oh man, if they face retaliation. Mr. O'Boyle was selected for a new unit, moved his family from Kansas to Quantico, Virginia, and the first day he arrives here, after being selected for this new unit, serving in our military, serving well in the FBI, with first day he arrives here, they tell him his clearance is suspended. Can't get his belongings for his family, can't get his clothes, can't get his children's clothes, 4 kids and a 2-week-old newborn. Mr. Friend raised concerns about using the SWAT team to arrest someone who was willing to turn themselves in, and the FBI takes his clearance. Wouldn't even let him get access to his firearms training records, which he needs to get employment.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, Jordan continues. Just listen to this. Roll cut 59A, Mike.
Mr. O'Boyle's went 200 some days without getting paid. Mr. Allen's went 450 days without getting paid. This is the kind of retaliation they have faced for coming forward and telling us the truth. For Mr. Allen, he lost his clearance for simply doing his job, compiling case-related research, using open-source material, news, and articles, and passing them on to the people working the case. And they didn't like some of the material he passed on. 450 days without pay.
That's over a year. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm telling you, I don't have enough savings to feed my family for an entire year. I just don't. If I don't get a paycheck for an entire year, I can't pay the bills, the mortgage, put food. I can't. I got a 3-4 month buffer. I got about, emergency fund for about, we can go 3 months, 4 months if the Kuhner man loses his job. But I can't go over 400 days. I can't do that. And now listen to Jordan saying it's not just the FBI that's retaliating and destroying these whistleblowers. The Dems on this very subcommittee are colluding with the FBI to destroy these men for simply exposing the truth. Roll cut 59B, Mike.
And the retaliation isn't limited to the FBI. Democrats on this committee also engaged in it. They leaked parts of these guys' interviews to the press. Press reported on it, and then the press had to issue corrections. The Post, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Rolling Stone, because what the Democrats told them wasn't accurate, what they reported wasn't accurate. That's why Mr. Allen would only let Republicans talk to him. He said, I've seen what's going on. I want to be interviewed by the Republicans.
Smear them. Just smear them. It's the Democrat way. Mark in Chelmsford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hi. I know you're having this interview coming up with Jim Jordan. I know he's pussyfooting around about impeachment and all that kind of stuff. But can't the group automatically start defunding?
Yes.
I mean, obviously the people in charge will say, well, our budget's been cut, so we're going to cut all the offices and they're going to get rid of all the people that they don't want first. But if you defund completely. And more importantly, why is the FBI reporting to the DOJ? And why is the DOJ reporting to the president and not to the Supreme Court, even though, Congress allowed this back in the 1870s? It seems like a mixing of the different branches because DOJ, Department of Justice, sounds really like a Supreme Court issue. The justice.
No, Mark, Mark, I agree with you up until that last sentence. I think you're dead on. Don't get me wrong, completely. No, I think the FBI and the DOJ should report to Congress, to us, technically, in theory, right? The legislative branch is the people's branch. These are our elected representatives. So the FBI and the DOJ, I understand the Supreme Court has a role, no question, but they should be accountable to us. They should be reporting to us. instead of the FBI reporting to the DOJ, and really the DOJ reports to the president. So the executive branch, they're just policing themselves. That's why. Sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug. And all Congress can do is yell, scream, whine, complain, unless they use the power of the purse. So either that or impeach. But I'd be like, no. The FBI, first of all, I think we should get rid of the FBI. But if you're going to have a reformed FBI, you answer to us. We don't answer to you. You answer to us. And Mark, am I wrong?
Not wrong at all, because it has to be away from the Department of Justice, because one is attorneys, the other one is police force, and we don't have in any government throughout the whole United States where the attorney generals of each group or the DAs of each group has the police report to them. They just are a separate branch under the mayor, obviously.
I so agree with you.
But
you're dead on. No, you're absolutely dead on. I've never seen anything like this. So it's like the fox guarding the hen house. Okay, a really, really good, thoughtful email, and I want to share it with all of you. Jeff, the FBI's response tells you all you need to know. Jeff, whether we're talking about a single individual or an organized body of people, how they respond to a situation like charges of wrongdoing, as we're seeing here, is a key indicator to what their true character is really like. If that body's response to accusations of wrongdoing is done in an open, thoughtful, forthright, and righteous manner, well, then it's a strong indication that those accusations may be baseless. But if that body's response and their conduct is reflective of the very things they're being accused of, abusive, vindictive, destructive, underhanded, and retaliatory, then through their own actions, they've given credibility to the accusation and actually testified as to their own guilt. Is that not what we're seeing here on full display? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, think about it. If you make an accusation against someone and they respond very open, honestly, thoughtfully, forthrightly, righteously, you go, gee, I don't really think, doesn't seem to me this person is guilty of what he's being accused of. It's pretty obvious by the response. But if that person is, I will destroy you, I'm going to get you, I'm going to lash out at you, I'm going to crush you, I'm going to make sure you never are able to work again. You're like, yeah, I think this guy pretty much is the thug, or she's the thug that he or she is being accused of. I can just tell by the response. And what we saw yesterday, this is a vindictive FBI. This is a vicious FBI, and this is a corrupt FBI. They think they're above the law, and they can do whatever they want. And aiding and abetting them every step of the way, the Democrats. Why? Because the FBI now serves them. That's their secret police force. So they're not going to turn, hey, it's their Stasi. They're not going to turn on their own Stasi. Listen now to Jim Jordan. We're going to have him on very soon. Listen now to the congressman. He's warning the whistleblowers right in front of him, saying, get ready. It's not just the FBI that's out to destroy you. To my left and to my right, the Democrats right here, they're coming after you. Roll cut 60, Mike.
I just want to tell you guys, get ready. Get ready, because these guys are going to come after you. You know they are. Last hearing we had two journalists, Democrats, two Democrat journalists sat right where you guys did, and these guys tried to get them to divulge their sources. Someone needs to tell them how the First Amendment works. And while Mr. Taibbi, one of those award-winning journalists sitting right where you're sitting, was testifying, guess what else was happening? The IRS was knocking on his door. So get ready. But I know you're up to the task because you came forward in the first place. Thank you for your commitment to the Constitution, the First Amendment, the rule of law, and for your willingness to come forward and tell Congress what you've seen, what you've witnessed. Thank you for doing that. Mr. Levitt, thank you for representing him. We appreciate that.
God bless him. God bless him. I'm going to do everything I can to try to help these whistleblowers, including I'm going to try to get them on the show. I mean, I don't know if they can. I don't know what their lawyer is going to advise them to do because the FBI is out to destroy these people and ruin them professionally, ruin their careers, their personal lives, their livelihoods. They're investigating them. Who knows? They may even try to send them to jail. Charge them as being terrorists or extremists or traitors or saboteurs. But I'm going to do everything I can to try to help them and to try to get them to tell more of their story here on this show. All I can do is try. 617-266-6868. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Thank you. I was with Kirsten on January 6th. We drove down together. I'm the only eyewitness to her demeanor. Her trial was an absolute joke. Her attorneys, matter of fact, they called me the night before for me to testify. Halfway to Washington, D.C., as I'm driving down there, I get another call advising me of my Fifth Amendment rights, that the judge wanted me to see an attorney down there because I was opening myself up to be arrested because I was on the property also. That's a form of intimidation. Kirsten has been put through the ringer. Her life has been ruined by these people. And now I'm understanding that the prosecutor on May 31st is her sentencing, is going to ask for 6 to 12 months of incarceration. This girl has been punished enough. This is so corrupt, it's ridiculous. I drove through the night. Her attorneys told me that they were going to have me testify toward Kirsten's demeanor. As the only eyewitness to her demeanor, I can understand they never questioned me on that at all. They were public pretenders. I was actually brought in front of the judge before I was allowed to testify. Now, remember, I'm on the stand with no sleep at all. Drove through the night, had arrived around 6:30, enough time to get to Kirsten's hotel room, shower, put on my suit, and get to court for 9 a.m. They sequestered me. I was in the hallway until 3:30 in the afternoon with no sleep before I was called to the stand. And I was not questioned about her demeanor at all. The prosecutor was absolutely vicious. And I want the people to know that Kirsten Niemöller is the bravest patriot I've ever met in my life. She's been put through hell. She's one of the kindest people you'll ever meet.
Oh, I believe you. No, Mark, I believe you. Mark, I'm going to ask Jim Jordan about Kirsten specifically right after this break. And what they are doing to her is a travesty of justice. Okay, my friends, as many of you know, tomorrow, House Judiciary Chairman Congressman Jim Jordan will be in Massachusetts for at least 2 major events. You can still RSVP if you want to attend these events. Tomorrow, May 20th, one of them, of course, will be at the infamous barn of Jim Lyons, where he holds many, many important events. You can find out all the information. Go to bostonbroadside.com, bostonbroadside.com, and RSVP if you want to attend any of these 2 events. Furthermore, all of this has been possible because of Rick Green, Jim Lyons, and Jeff Deal. So they're trying to create a Freedom Caucus in Massachusetts to rival the one created by Congressman Jordan nationally. And joining us now is the man of the hour, Congressman Jordan. Congressman, how are you?
I'm fine, brother. How you doing?
Good. Quickly, Congressman, I know you're going to be in Mass tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why do you feel, I know it's going to be rocking, it's going to be packed, many people are going to attend. Why should people come? Why should they have to listen to Jim Jordan? What's so important about these events tomorrow?
Well, I don't know that they need to listen to me. I just think Americans understand that what's happening in our country today is not where we want the nation to go. I mean, look, you see the First Amendment's been attacked like crazy for the past couple of years. Every policy Joe Biden's put in place has been a disaster. I mean, we went from a secure border to no border. We went from safe streets to record crime. We went from stable prices to record inflation. We went from $2 gas to $4 and $5 gas. We went from being respected and projecting strength from the Oval Office around the world, and now we have the situation that we have, where the weakness projected from there, and what the debacle that was the exit from Afghanistan. You could just keep going on and on. So that's what's at stake. It's the country, and then you add to it all. These agencies have actually been turned on we the people, the American people, in so many ways. And instead of serving the people, it seems like they're targeting Americans. And we heard from that yesterday from some of these brave whistleblowers who came forward.
Congressman, we've been talking about it all morning. It was explosive stuff. Before I get to that, I know this may come as a surprise, but my audience has been begging me to ask you this. Okay. A January 6er, her name is Kirsten, is about to be sentenced in about 12 days. Oh, wow. This woman has been railroaded. This woman is clearly a victim of injustice and human rights abuses. You look at what these January 6ers, many of them are enduring. Their food is being poisoned. Some are saying they've been beaten. They've been put in solitary confinement. They've been sent to prison 500, 600, 700 miles away from their families. I kid you not, Congressman, many of these January 6ers say they would rather go to Gitmo than continue being treated the way they've been treated. Congressman, is it time for you to hold hearings on the human rights abuses and the political persecution of January 6ers like Kirsten?
Well, we started some of this yesterday with the three of these brave whistleblowers who've been retaliated against, what the FBI is trying to do. These guys have tried to crush them. They've talked about this, how the numbers have been inflated to stress this domestic violent extremism. Mr. Friend talked about how there was one person who was going to be arrested for activities on January 6th. But he had communicated that he was willing to turn himself in. He was willing to cooperate, and yet they sent a SWAT team out to his house to I guess make an example or something. So we started to get into this in yesterday's hearing. We are hearing from a number of whistleblowers who've come to talk to us. A couple dozen have come spoke to us about concerns in this area and others. So we think this is part of this broad investigation. People who did wrong on January 6th, they need to be held accountable. But there also needs to be equal treatment under the law. There needs to be true due process for these folks. And it seems to me some people had much more minor infractions, and yet the stories we hear are similar to what you just described. So we started to get into this yesterday. We continue to hear from whistleblowers, and we'll continue to look into it.
Congressman, I don't mean to press you, but I've got to ask you, is that essentially a yes? Will you hold a separate set of hearings on the maltreatment of these January 6ers in prison?
We're gonna look at what the full committee. One of the things we try to do is talk with all the Republicans on the committee, talk with our leadership on some issues before we would go down do certain things. It's the same question we face with Mr. Mayorkas. Should we impeach Mr. Mayorkas? I think it's warranted. But we want to get full participation from the Republican conference if we're going to go down that road, because we know what's at stake. When you start that, you better know what you're getting into there. So we'll look at it that way.
Congressman, yesterday's hearings, incredible, explosive. You clearly documented yesterday, as well as with the Durham report combined, the massive corruption at the FBI, the abuse of power at the FBI. And I have been swamped with emails. My listeners, callers, they want to ask you this question. Do you support Marjorie Taylor Greene's decision to introduce articles of impeachment against Christopher Wray and against Merrick Garland? Is it time for them to be held accountable for what are clearly crimes?
Well, again, just like with Mayorkas, I think she introduced for Mayorkas as well. There's a number of people who I think need to be held accountable. I think, but certainly with Secretary Mayorkas, impeachment is warranted, but we're going to have to make that decision as a conference. So we'll see. The big leverage we have as a legislative body, I think, in the end, is the appropriations process. And we're going to have to be willing to say, look, you're doing this kind of stuff. You're retaliating against whistleblowers. You're putting up a snitch line to report parents who are simply going to a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter. You send out a memorandum that says we're going to call them radical traditional Catholics. These are pro-life, pro-family Catholics going to mass. You're trying to put sources and snitches inside the church, inside the parish. You do things like that, then we're going to have to come after your funding and say, look, money can't be spent certain ways. We're going to put restrictions on how the money. That's the real leverage we have, and that's where I think we have to focus as we head into this appropriations process over the next couple months.
Congressman, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you saying it's time to maybe withdraw some funding or attach strings to funding? If, in other words, start defunding the FBI?
Course. Well, you don't want to defund the good field officers, the good agents who are doing good work in solving crime. Now but here's a great example. They want several $100 million for a new facility they're looking to put over in Maryland or somewhere in Northern Virginia. I don't think so. You got to be kidding me. The same FBI who we saw former agents O'Boyle and friend and Marcus Allen testified to yesterday. And you're going to give them a new facility, for goodness sake. So there are things like that and other things we have to do with the American tax dollars that go to the Justice Department.
Congressman, what has surprised you the most in terms of your revelations about the FBI, the whistleblowers? Are you shocked at the extent of the corruption and the abuse of power within the FBI, certainly within the leadership, but even within management?
The thing that probably scared me and shocked me the most was the memorandum from the Richmond field office. Now, the FBI has rescinded it, but you sort of have to ask the question, but for a whistleblower coming forward and bringing it to our attention, would they have done that? But that memorandum talked about putting people inside a church, working with the leadership in the church, in the parish, to report on others. And when you read that memo, it's really, and you look at the footnotes, they talk about the Dobbs decision. It's basically, if you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, you're viewed as extremist. It's scary. And yet that memorandum got approved by 5 people in the Richmond field office, analysts, 2 others, and the chief division counsel, the lawyer. So some lawyer who went to law school, supposedly had a course on the Constitution and the First Amendment, where the first right in the First Amendment is your right to practice your faith, freedom of religion. That lawyer signed off on that memorandum. And you're like, how did that happen? How does that get through in this great country, the greatest country ever? That is shocking. And then when some whistleblowers come forward and tell us, they get retaliated against. You got to be kidding me. So there's a host of other issues, but that is sort of the best example of how bad it's gotten today in the Justice Department.
Congressman, has the FBI now essentially been transformed into the secret police of the Democratic Party and the Biden regime?
Well, I think what's happened is, and we heard this from some of the witnesses we've had in other hearings, earlier hearings in the Select Committee, and they've said that there's this problem in the Washington field office, in the headquarters. But the vast majority of the agents and the field officer on the country are doing good work. But according to the whistleblowers yesterday, many agents feel intimidated. There's this chilling impact because they see what's happened to Garrett O'Boyle. They see what's happened to Steve Friend. These guys who testified yesterday. They see what's happened, and they're like, you know what? We agree with them, but we're kind of keep our head down because we got a family to feed. You know what happened to these guys? They could have feed their family, for goodness sake, because once they take your security clearance, you no longer get paid, and then you're in this limbo. You either have to quit or you're trying to get your clearance back, and you go through all these proceedings. The process becomes the punishment for these guys, and it seems like the punishment is because they brought us valuable information, and they're many times I think it's because they're conservative guys. So that's the real problem.
Congressman, we've got about 2 minutes left. I know John Durham is going to. I think he will be testifying in front of your committee.
He will. Yep.
What do you most want to get from Durham in the wake of the Durham report? What do you want most amplified or clarified?
Well, I think you want amplified what he found. He found that they launched an investigation into a presidential campaign, into the President of the United States, with no evidence, no probable cause, no proper predicate, and yet they did it. And they did it based on a dossier that was put together by the Clinton campaign, even though they tried to launder it through several organizations. Remember, they paid Perkins Coie, who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who went and talked to Danchenko. This is how they launched, but it was still garbage. And they knew it was garbage at the time they took it to the FISA court, but they used it to go spy on a presidential campaign. That is just as wrong as it gets. And then there's that fundamental line in Durham's report where he said the FBI failed in its mission of fidelity to the law. That's another way of saying they didn't follow the law. You can't have that happening, and they did it at the very highest level. Again, it was in Washington. It was at the headquarters. It was called a headquarters special. They ran the investigation out of Washington. That is what is, and just have him elaborate on that. And then I think you say, okay, so it's bad enough that they go after a presidential campaign and went after President Trump and put our country through 3 years of that garbage they did a few years ago. That's bad enough. But today it's worse because today, I believe the FBI has been turned on, as we were just discussing, we the people, the American citizen. And it can be a parent at a school board meeting, it could be a pro-lifer praying at a clinic, or it can be a Catholic simply going to mass. They are now targets, and that is the most frightening thing. We wanted to talk about all that.
Congressman, less than 30 seconds. My audience wants to know, will anybody get impeached? Anybody?
I do think, again, you have to. Our Constitution is clear. High crimes and misdemeanors. There has to be something specific. We're evaluating that. We're looking at the case history. We're looking at the law. As I said before, I certainly think Mr. Mayorkas warrants it. He's come. I think in many ways he said things in front of Congress while he's under oath testifying that just have not turned out to be accurate. And then, of course, we know how bad the situation is there on the border. So we will continue to look at that. I think that is the primary example, and we're doing the research on that because we as Republicans are committed to doing the process right. We're committed to following the Constitution, not doing what the Democrats did to President Trump a few years ago.
We have been talking with Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. He will be in Massachusetts tomorrow for several high-profile events. Congressman, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless you.
You too. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me just give you my very quick reaction to the Jim Jordan interview, and then I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868 is the number. I think pressure is starting to work a little bit. Notice, unlike Fox, when I pressure him. Come on. Are you going to impeach anybody? It's crimes here, abuse of power here, outrage here. Is somebody going to get impeached? Somebody? And he threw up Mayorkas. So Sandy and I were talking about this off air. I think they're going to go after Mayorkas. Now, I'm not saying, that's the whole ball game. Far from it. But at least it's something. It's a start. So I do get the sense that Mayorkas may be in trouble, that the Republicans are going to have to go after somebody, and I think they're settling on Mayorkas. So I do believe that they will impeach Mayorkas, or at least they'll try. Outside of that, very, very reluctant. They don't want to impeach. Now, Jordan did talk about targeted defunding, withdrawing money for this new field office or this new building, to be more accurate, in Northern Virginia. In other words, they're going to withdraw some money and attach strings to others to try to apply some pressure. So I want to ask you, what did you think of Jim Jordan, his response? I'm just curious. And what resonated most with you? Did Jim Jordan's answer satisfy you? Or do you think they need to be even tougher to root out or weed out corruption and abuse of power at the FBI. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let's go to Stephen in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Stephen, and welcome.
Yeah?
Hi, Stephen. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you, man. It's most wonderful to talk to you. And let me tell you something. This is a tough world we're living in. And the next generation should be the best generation. What you slave. What do you work for? You pay high taxes. And they steal. That's all right. I'm the biggest thief in the world. You want honesty? Just ask me any question you want. Now, ask any question you want.
Well, Stephen, I guess, look, I want to ask you what I want to ask, every listener. What did you make of Jim Jordan? Do you think we are going to get justice for the January 6ers? He didn't seem to really commit. I tried to press him on a separate committee, and he seems very reluctant. And I think there are gross abuses now being committed against these people, against these poor people who are rotting in prison. Many of them still haven't had a trial. It's been many years. And so there's something going on behind the scenes. I don't know if it's Kevin McCarthy or Steve Scalise or the leadership, but they don't want to pull the trigger on aggressively going after the FBI. They're uncovering a lot, yes. They're exposing a lot, yes. But when it comes to taking action, they don't want to pull the trigger. Why? Why? Or do you think they're doing enough, Stephen?
Because I'm the one that failed. Listen, Kuhner, man, you're my hero. You solid. You just every day you're out and you're fighting, you're doing a greatness, and that's that. It's me, and you know how I love to brag about me.
No, Stephen, I hear you. Okay, Stephen, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Yeah, look, there is I think, look, I guess this is the sense I get from Stephen and from many of you. They like to talk a good game in front of the camera and beat their chest. And again, I'm not saying that these hearings aren't important because, look, we're getting a lot of information. That was riveting stuff yesterday from the whistleblowers. But for some reason, they're afraid, they're reluctant, they're uncertain, they're insecure. Now, they do have a tight majority. They don't have a wide majority, a large majority. So I don't know if they just feel, hey, look, we don't have the votes. Too many rhinos, too many squishes, too many moderate Republicans. And so we can't, if we start looking for impeachment and we don't have the votes, it's going to blow up in our face and we're going to look like an absolute joke of a Republican majority. So I don't know if that's the case, but to me, look, when I see injustice on this level and I see this kind of abuse and this kind of discrimination and persecution against good, decent FBI agents simply for telling the truth, I don't know how Christopher Wray can still have a job. At a bare minimum, haul his ass in front of Congress and put him under oath and say, I want to know who pulled the trigger, who gave the order to go after and persecute and harass and attempt to destroy these whistleblowers for simply telling the truth. And by the way, you lied to us under oath. You said there were no FBI informants, no FBI undercover agents, and now your own people and the evidence that we've uncovered directly contradicts everything you just said. So why shouldn't we send you to jail? I don't think, I mean, think about it. If this was reversed, Republican administration, Republican DOJ, Republican FBI committing these abuses and atrocities against Democrats, and the Democrats, say Pelosi, had the House, It would be World War III. There'd be impeachments left, right, and center. I mean, am I wrong? 617-266-6868 is the number. Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How are you, Roman?
I'm okay. For 3 straight weeks, Jim Jordan has been giving you the runaround and the people the runaround, I think. He won't answer anything. He is afraid himself. He sounded like a scared rabbit. For 3 weeks, he's been repeating the same thing. When you ask him, will he, with some gusto in your voice at the end, who are you going to impeach? Will anybody be impeached? He goes after the lowest hanging fruit in the entire government, Mayorkas. We know that. We want to hear who is going to get impeached. We know who is. He didn't even bite on that. Yesterday, the first thing that came to mind when he was warning the whistleblowers, they're going to get you to the left and to the right. Meaning, they're going to get you, and there's nothing I'm going to do to stop them. Because what did you make of that? Did you, kind of read between the lines with that like I did? It was absolutely disgusting. I can't believe that before Trump became president, Congress was the Democrats were calling for his impeachment. What does this man need to do to get impeached or to have anybody even talk about it? The only ones talking about it are Stefanik, Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Are they the only ones with any guts? This is absolutely ridiculous. And I used to think, like you did, what are they going to lock 100 million of us up? Jeff, I'm starting to think that they're going to try, and we'll all be in a gulag. Remember this: freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Ronald Reagan said that. We've been warned by many presidents about what's happening now. This is I can't believe it. And I want to say one thing about. I just want to say one thing. I've been a police officer for 27 years. I took that oath. 27 years of unblemished service. And I still uphold that oath. Brothers and sisters in the FBI, look in the mirror. This can't happen. This can't. The country is falling apart. That is my plea to them. And one more thing, if you give me one more second, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Jeff, have a fantastic day.
Amen. Amen. Roman, thank you very, very much for that call. No, I mean, look, it's very obvious. This Jordan, how do I say this? When you take a position of power, and he's got 2 powerful positions. He's the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, molto importante. It's right up there with the Oversight Committee. He and Comer are really now the 2 most powerful Republicans on Capitol Hill, outside of Kevin McCarthy. So he's got that, and they gave him the Weaponization Subcommittee. And that's where he's able to get these whistleblowers yesterday. So you had to make a deal with McCarthy. If you remember, I'm just calling it the way I see it. Remember the rebels, when they didn't want McCarthy as speaker, who did they nominate first? It was Jordan. They said, the guy we want is Jordan. We think we have a successor. We think we have a fighter, a conservative fighter. We want Jordan. And Jordan said, I don't want it. I remember for 2 days in a row, he goes, I don't want it. I don't want it. So then they went to Byron Donalds and they tried others. Now, the point is, and eventually they just made a deal with McCarthy. It's obvious to me that Jordan and McCarthy cut a compromise. Basically, McCarthy said to Jordan, what do you want? Jordan said, give me judiciary and give me this weaponization subcommittee. And that's a lot of headlines. He gets his face everywhere. He's on Fox, Newsmax. He's everywhere now. He's one of the most recognizable Republicans in the media today. I think in exchange, I think he made a mistake. He basically had to kiss McCarthy's ring and, in a sense, say, you know what? I'm going to let you decide if we're going to impeach. I'm going to rein it in a little bit. I'm not going to be the Jim Jordan who's going to speak his mind, speak truth to power, call it the way I see it, the way he used to be. Now it's more of a company man, Jim Jordan. So it's clear he's got scripted answers, and no matter how much you push him, it's just, no, it's up to McCarthy, and we have to have unanimity in the conference. Okay, I know that. You need the votes. But the old Jim Jordan, the pre-House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, would have come out and said, damn it, I think he should be impeached. In other words, he'd be putting pressure on leadership. And he doesn't want to put pressure. And what I find disgusting about Fox is they never put pressure. No one puts pressure. So pressure works. It does. So what I'm urging everybody is call your member of Congress or call the phone lines up on Capitol Hill and tell them we support Marjorie Taylor Greene. We want Christopher Wray impeached. We want Merrick Garland impeached. We want Mayorkas impeached. And above all, we want Joe Biden impeached. Let's go. What are you waiting for? We've got now more than enough evidence. How much more evidence do you need? So, okay, we've gathered all the information. Great. Thank you. Now it's time for action. Agree, disagree. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mike in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
God bless you, Jeff. Jim Jordan has no teeth. Okay, he's feckless. There's something going on here. Okay, if he says what you say, okay, that would be another story. This it's weak. And think of this, okay? It's abundantly clear. We do not have a representative government in the USA. It's now tyrannical. It really is. And Roman, pledge allegiance to the truth, the flag. Our men and women that served our country, they're rolling in their graves. My grandfather, prisoner of war for 19 months in Japan. He was in the European theater and then shot down in Japan, rolling in his grave. John Adams, Quincy, all of them, and onward. What's going on? Well,
Mike, you're on fire. Mike, you're absolutely on fire. Mike, I want to ask you this. I understand. Look, I do. I get it. I covered Washington for 10 years. I was at the Washington Times. I did their congressional and White House. I oversaw their White House and congressional coverage. Look, you want to rise, you got to cut deals. I get it. That's just life. I don't understand why you can't say, okay, look, Jeff, McCarthy's going to have to green light this. You're asking me, should we impeach Biden or should we impeach Wray or Garland? Ultimately, it's going to be the speaker's decision. He's the speaker. And we're going to have to get almost unanimity in the Republican conference because we only have about a 3 or 4 vote majority. But I'm telling you, Jeff, personally, as a member of Congress, I think the guy should be impeached. And let me tell you why I think the guy should be impeached. And when I see McCarthy, I'm going to make this argument. Kevin, look, I know you got to count the votes. I know we need 218. I get it. But, here's why I think this guy should be impeached. Why can't they just say that? In other words, okay, we may not have the votes, but I'm telling you, I think the guy should be impeached. And here's why. Because when someone of Jordan's stature and of his position, when he says something like this, ooh, a lot of other Republicans are going to say, well, you know what? He's making a lot of sense. And that's how you gain momentum and you gain support and you get more people talking about it and more people agreeing and galvanizing people. But instead, it's just, well, whatever McCarthy wants. Well, it's Republican conference. Well, Mike, am I wrong?
You're exactly right. Exactly. We've got to turn this boat around. We're going down. Really are.
And the other thing, Mike, look, I got it, because, look, you're obviously a man of honor. You're a man of character. To you, an oath is an oath. You're a patriot. You love this country. You love the flag. You love people who serve. I saw FBI whistleblowers yesterday, and he saw it more than I did. It's his committee. He's the chairman. They were 10 feet away from him. I saw these men, careers, lives, livelihoods, families destroyed, ruined, in tatters. I don't know how you can say to them, the FBI is out to destroy you, the Democrats are out to destroy you, and thank you for showing up. To me, I'm sorry, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they don't destroy you. In other words, thanks for sticking your neck out. Well, yeah, but don't you think we owe it, if you're going to have them stick their neck out, don't you think we owe it to them to protect and defend them a little bit? I mean, am I wrong?
Exactly. The ones that are the bad actors are getting rewarded, propped up. And the ones that are the whistleblowers standing up, they're getting vilified, demonized, crushed. Welcome to tyranny.
Mike, thank you very much for that call. In other words, you're going to go after them. There's going to be a price to pay. You know, and just start listening. We're going to defund this. We're going to defund this. We're going to defund this. You know what? I'm going to kick you off the committee, man. You're threatening them. You know, in other words, like, it's time to play smash mouth football. And I'm just speaking as as a human being. I see a patriot in front of me choking up in tears. I'm going to throw them a lifeline. You know, so look, the Republicans have to look at themselves in the mirror. What are you going to do? Because it's obvious we are losing our country. And the FBI, it's no question now, it has become the secret police of the Biden regime. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, all of you, please listen to this. I got a text from my wonderful wife, Grace. And she disagrees with me. And she's stressing that she really wants me to read her text because this is how much she disagrees with me. Jeff, Jim Jordan is helping the media fully expose the corruption. He's one of the good guys. A brick is not a house. He's a brick. And that's still a good step. He's battling everyone else on Capitol Hill. He doesn't have as much power as you or the audience seem to think. We can't be a circular firing squad. We have to build momentum toward reform. What you can hear in his voice is he's not corrupt. And that's formidable nowadays. Without his committee, we wouldn't have those powerful witnesses. That committee has just given Trump tons of ammo that the FBI is, she puts all in caps, out of control. So, in other words, what Grace is telling all of us is, don't ask too much from Jordan. He's battling his own leadership. He's battling the Democrats. He's exposing all of this corruption. He can't do everything. And in the end, all we're telling him is it's not good enough. So she's saying, cut the guy some slack, give him a break. He's doing yeoman work, and let's just keep the pressure on the Republicans, and eventually they'll cave and they'll start impeaching. So her argument is she disagrees with me. She disagrees with most of the audience. What say you? Interesting. 617-266-6868 is the number. Julie in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Julie, and welcome.
How did I know a woman would be played right after your lovely wife? I want to say, Jeff, you hit the nail on so many heads. And I also, as much as I love your wife, oh, did you steal my thunder? But I'll tell you, I was just about to say the very same thing, that he's one person. Think about it. He's doing the best that he can with what he has right now. And you know what? He's one person. Look at all the people he has to go up against. I mean, there's so many rhinos, like you said, in the swamp that don't want to go up. I mean, listen to the guy up there crying, saying they'll crush you. I mean, hello? Do you want to be one of those, you know, everyone's saying, I don't want to be one of those guys. So that's my first point. Second point, I'll keep it brief. But she was spot on. But don't you think that these whistleblowers should have some type of, like, almost something like a witness protection program? Like, I feel like I would say, listen, I'll go ahead. I'll speak out against the FBI, but y'all going to have to do X, Y, Z for me, because I am not sticking my neck out for my family and et cetera, and be subjected to all of this. I mean, what is your thought on that? I can't believe there's nothing put in place to protect these guys.
No, Julie, no, you're right. There are in federal law, there are whistleblower protections put in place. And part of the scandal that was unveiled yesterday is that the FBI is just disregarding. They're blowing right through these protections. So part of their complaint was, I mean, look, the clips I played are kind of, yeah, what the Democrats are trying to say is, I'm playing the meat and potatoes of the cuts yesterday, right? The core allegations and what they're going through. But what the Democrats are saying is, no, they're not whistleblowers. And Jim Jordan's like, what do you mean they're not whistleblowers? No, they're just out to make a buck. They're out to sell a book. They're political. They're extremists. They're closet MAGA supporters or closet Trump supporters. And that's why they even tried to frame one of them, Marcus Allen, by saying, well, they found a guy called Marcus Allen on Twitter who said, oh, the whole thing was staged January 6th. The whole thing was staged by Pelosi. And he's like, but that's not my account. But that's not me. That's a different Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is a very common name.
When it comes to whistleblowers, you are not entitled to it. That's at the discretion of Mr. Allen.
Mr. Chairman, these individuals have been determined not to be whistleblowers. These are not whistleblowers. They've been determined by the agency not to be whistleblowers. Are you deciding that they're whistleblowers?
Yes, the law decides. Did you not listen to Mr. Levitt's testimony? Did you not read the law? The law decides that they are whistleblowers.
His attorney is
chair recognizes the gentlelady from New York. The gentlelady from New York has been recognized.
The law has not determined they are whistleblowers. His attorney is just asserting that.
So those are Democrats, Wasserman Schultz and that last woman speaking over Jim Jordan. So so Jordan is like, of course they're whistleblowers. And the law says they're whistleblowers because they're exposing wrongdoing and they're being retaliated against. But now, see, they're even trying to deny that they're whistleblowers. This is how corrupt the Democrats are. So, again, to be fair to Jordan, that's why he's saying, I got half my committee trying to sabotage me, the Democrats. So that's how they justify doing everything what they're doing to these poor whistleblowers.
Horrendous.
I really, Julie, did you ever think you'd be living in a country like this?
No, and I feel horrible. It's, I agree with Jim Jordan. I agree with you. I agree with Grace. I agree with the callers, but the callers should not really be getting mad at Jim Jordan because, listen, the guy is one person. He's never going to get all of those guys that have been in the swamp forever. Look at Mitch McConnell. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be easy for the guy. He knows what he has ahead of him. He knows what he has to do. And she's right. He's just another brick in the wall, baby.
Julie, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Look, we've made an offer to Congressman Jordan to be a regular. We'll see what happens. But, look, I have nothing personal against the guy. I want him on once a month. Let's see if we can do it. But, I think what you're sensing, though, to be fair, is just a lot of frustration. People you see all of these outrageous abuses of power and crimes being committed, and no one's being held accountable. 617-266-6868. Okay, joining us now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. You know her, you love her, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm good. Let me share an observation I've made after being in the financial planning business for many years. When a couple leave the office of a financial advisor after that important first meeting, armed with all the information they just absorbed, the husband will inevitably look at his wife and ask, "So what did you think?" The fact is, the needs of the couple must also include the needs of the wife when it comes to financial planning. It's a very delicate balance. But we have a new consumer guide that might help called Women Retire Too. Many of the insights and concerns in it are provided by women. It's the perfect companion to my new book, Retire Your Fear, Plan Your Future, where I address many issues unique to women. For the guide, a copy of my book, and to set up a no-obligation consultation, call us or email us at kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you, Jeff, Dr. Grace, for all you do.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Have a wonderful weekend. And please give my best to your two wonderful children, Mary Madeline and William Jr. And we have to see each other soon, Kelly. God bless you. 617-266-6868 is the number. So Sandy was just telling me in my ear as we were off air that she completely agrees with my wife, saying, yeah, he's a brick. He's not a house. Like, what do you expect the guy to do, Jeff? And I'm just like, I don't know. Could you stick it to him a little more? I mean, anyway, look, many of you agree with my wife. Many of you agree with me. I like to hear from you. 617-266-6868. Dave in Attleboro. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, let me break something down here as far as whistleblowing. My older brother did Vietnam back in the day. He was a medic, Jeff. After he came home from Vietnam, he re-enlisted for another 6 years. He went to Germany in the medical field over in Germany at once. After that, he came back, and he didn't want to stay out. He joined the reserve. So one night, when he took off for the weekend drills, they were sleeping. Somebody throws in a smoke grenade inside his tent in the middle of the night. Jeff, he reported it, and after that, he finally was discharged, dishonorable, and also refused to pay his pension. Jeff, this is even in the military. You can't say nothing when something goes wrong because they degrade you and take you right out. That's just they get. And all they really did, Jeff, they put him, when he passed away, actually very young, he passed away, they put him in the military part of the cemetery. But they took his pension away from being in Vietnam. He was a medic. He did 6 more years in Worms as a medic. And the way they treat you, nobody, they just like cut him up in pieces. He got nothing for his service, Jeff.
I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. Dave, basically what you're saying is the way these FBI agents are being treated is the way whistleblowers traditionally, historically are being treated, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the thing that makes my blood boil, Dave, is when you have a Democrat. You remember Vindman? Remember when Vindman came out against Trump on that phone call to Ukraine? Oh, he's on every television program. He's doing a book tour. He's a hero. He's making millions of dollars. Hell, if you're a Democrat and you're a quote-unquote whistleblower, holy shamoly, Dave. I mean, it's like a lottery ticket. But if you expose the crimes of the Democrats or the crimes of the deep state or the FBI or, in the case of your brother, the military, then forget it. I mean, then they destroy you. Then you're a traitor and you're lucky you don't get shot. It's the double standards also that really upsets me. Dave, do you think the American public watches these hearings, knows what's going on? Is there outrage over how the FBI now is directly targeting opponents of the Biden regime?
I don't think everybody watches them, Jeff. I mean, probably half of them, and probably the other half are working all the time. And as far as what Jim Jordan said when you were asking him about impeachment, I think he wanted to say yes, but he was afraid to say yes because of everything else going on in back of him. So I think the way he sounded, he wanted to say something, but he couldn't get it out because of, you know what I mean.
That's the sense I got exactly as well, Dave. I think, his heart wants to say something, and there's like people behind him, maybe his staff or whoever, are like, don't go there, Jim, don't go there, because leadership will barrel down on you, Jim. Hold your tongue, Jim. So, anyway, Dave, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay, to be fair, this is from 617. Jeff, I was hoping to hear bold, principled, proactive leadership. Someone willing to call for Wray, Garland, and Biden to be impeached. Instead, what we heard from Jim Jordan, not just today, but the two previous times he came on your show, the second coming of Trey Gowdy. All words. Jim Jordan is Trey Gowdy 2.0. What do you say to that? Or you think that's being a little bit too harsh? 617-266-6868. Virginia in Lowell. Thanks for holding, Virginia, and welcome.
Of course, yes. Good morning.
Hi,
I'm a first-time caller, and
welcome.
I just had to put in my 2 cents here. You're making me think. I've got a metaphor here for you. It feels like our nation is the Titanic right now. And, communism is that iceberg, and we're headed straight for it. And it's going to take massive interventions to try to get us from hitting it and it sinking us. And Jim Jordan's doing great work, but is he steaming on the front of this ship with an ice pick? And I'll leave it there and let you talk about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Virginia. Look, I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I look at Lauren Boebert. I look at, Elise Stefanik. And I'm sorry. I'm with them. I'm just speaking, I'm speaking from my heart. Now, I'm not the chair of a powerful committee. I'm not a leading member of Congress. I haven't made deals to get where I am today. And I know he's done a lot. He clearly has. He's exposed a lot. So I'm just calling it the way I see it. And look, do I think Joe Biden has committed high crimes and misdemeanors, bribery and treason? Yes. No question. Should he be impeached? No question. Chris Wray, should he be impeached? No question. Merrick Garland? No question. Mayorkas? No question. Kamala Harris? No question. And the way I am, the way I'm built, I have to call it out. That's just the way I am. And maybe I'm not built for leadership. Maybe that's okay. A guy like me would be a perennial backbencher. As they say, you just can't put Kuhner on a committee, or you can't because the guy just won't shut up. but that's the way I am. And I believe if you speak the truth resonates, the truth rings. And what this administration is doing is unforgivable. It is, as Virginia rightly put it, it's a communist revolution. We are becoming a police state. What Durham exposed and what Jordan, to his credit, exposed yesterday, this is a police state. Targeting political opponents? Destroying, spying, secretly spying and surveilling Catholic churches? People who are pro-life? People who criticize Biden? Secretly spying on the president? Secretly spying on his inner circle? I mean, come on. So, I'm sorry. If this is not impeachable, I don't know what the hell impeachable is. They just get rid of the impeachment clause. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868. John in Woburn. Thanks for holding, John, forgive me, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. No, you're not wrong, Jeff. We're going to live or die on the debt ceiling. What we do is we put McCarthy out on the front steps. We have Bobbitt and Marjorie Taylor Greene with the posters of impeachment and why transgender, taking your rights away, First, Second Amendment, all that. And McCarthy says we're going to hold where it is because these people are going after everyone, and they're going to take us all down and only.
John, do me a favor. I want you to hang on. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you remember Kirsten? We spoke to her a couple days ago. January 6er. Poor woman now is going to be sentenced in about 12 days. She literally did nothing. She walked into the Capitol, didn't touch anything, didn't hurt anyone, described how it was essentially entrapment. She was invited in, or the people were invited in, and then when she walked in, she saw Capitol Hill police officers taking selfies, high-fiving the January 6ers, saying, well, no one even told me to leave. And now the FBI is destroying my life, the DOJ, they're after me, they're persecuting me, and now I may be spending years in prison for essentially nothing. Well, Kirsten is now called into the show. She heard my interview with Jim Jordan. Kirsten, thank you so much for calling. Congratulations, by the way, on being Caller of the Week. What did you make of Jordan's response?
To be honest, Jeff, I've been listening all morning, and I understand that he's one person, but this has been going on for 2.5 years. And I'm sorry, his response was very disappointing. And I just, I want to ask these people, what would you do if it was your mother, your daughter, your son that was in my shoes? I bet it would be more of a priority than it is right now.
Kirsten, what would you have liked him to say? What did you want to hear from the congressman?
That we 100% are opening investigations and we'll be visiting the jails, and we will, whether people lose their jobs, whether it's impeaching people, whether it's Congress stepping in and using their powers to protect us or do investigations. 2.5 years later, and he can't even give you a straight answer of, yes, we're going to investigate American citizens being tortured in prison.
Do you think that's him, or do you think that's McCarthy and the leadership reining him in? In other words, his heart's in the right place, but the people above him are just not letting him do what maybe his heart wants to do.
I'm a fan of Jim Jordan, but, I feel like these people are being controlled. And thank God for people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would actually love to hear her on your radio because this woman is going to bat for us. She's actually visited jails. She's speaking out against about the January 6ers who have committed suicide. I mean, it is horrible what we are dealing with. And it's every single day there is another January 6er either being arrested, sentenced, or going to trial. And we need help. It's like there were these freedom organizations at first that raised millions of dollars for us. And not one January 6er saw a penny of it. And, we need support because I'm not backing down. I am standing up fighting for every woman, man, and child of this country.
Kirsten, sorry, if I can just back up for a line or sentence or two. What happened to the money? If none of the January 6ers got it, who got the money?
We don't know. Cynthia Hughes and whoever else was a part of it. That, that's supposed to be investigated too. But again, that's lost in the wind somewhere. So millions of dollars and none of us got anything. I mean, we have people losing their houses, losing their children, their jobs, everything, and no help from anybody. And not that I don't support the Marine in New York, but how crazy that this man can raise $2.5 million in a week. And none of the American people are concerned about helping us in fighting these legal battles.
Kirsten, I mean, you're going to be, I believe, sentenced in 12 days? Hello, Kirsten?
Yes, I will be sentenced in 12 days.
In 12 days. What sentence are you? I mean, we had a friend of yours call in, a person who tried to testify on your behalf, and they wouldn't listen to what he had to say. What are you looking at in terms of time behind bars?
Well, I just got word from the prosecution that they are seeking 6 to 12 months in prison.
For nothing.
Yeah, for nothing. And not to mention 2.5 years later, a year and a half after being on federal probation, drug tested, court-ordered counseling, red flagged at the airline, being followed, my phone's tapped. I mean, they have violated every sense of privacy. When they arrested me, they showed up with 9 cars swarming me and using excessive force, took my phone for 2 weeks and downloaded my entire phone, things that don't even pertain to January 6th. And my whole life has been destroyed. And it's not even over yet.
Why do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the few members of Congress who has gone to bat for you and for all the January 6ers?
Believe that she is a true patriot and she actually understands and cares about the Constitution, something that most Americans either are not educated on or just don't care because we live in a woke society right now that nobody cares about the rule of law, equal protection under the law, and this woman does. And no matter how much hate she gets, that woman still goes to bat for us. People don't know. Everyone I talk to 2.5 years later still thinks that only Ashley Babbitt died that day. That's not true. And it's sad that these lies have been spewed and these people have gotten no justice. I have not seen any American rallying, peacefully protesting for the people that lost their lives that day at the hands of the Capitol Police, like Roseanne Boylan that was beaten to death. And then the cop was given an award. There were 2 people that had heart attacks and died that day. Benjamin Phillips and, I'm drawing a blank on the other one. But they were shot with concussion grenades and they died that day. And, it's sad that nobody cares about what is happening until it becomes their home front.
Kirsten, we've got about 30 seconds left. How can people help you? I know it's very late in the game, forgive me, but how can people help you? Is there a website they can go to if they want to help in any way, shape, or form? What can they do? What should they do?
I have a Give, Send, Go. It's GiveSendGo/free Kirsten. KIRSTYN.
KIRSTYN.
Yep.
GiveSendGo/free Kirsten.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Kirsten, you're going to keep us posted, updated on what happens to you?
I will.
Okay, you're in our thoughts and prayers. God bless you,
Thank
Kirsten.
you.
Please stay strong.
God bless America.
God bless you. Thank you so much. 617? The show's practically over. Okay, I want to thank all of the callers. This week, outstanding. I know you always bring it, don't get me wrong, but this week it was A+. And we'll see what we can do to help Kirsten out. It looks like we may get a couple of those FBI whistleblowers. We've been reaching out to them during the show. We think we've got one that will come on next week. I gotta go. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.